What's up, guys? This is TheKephas. What's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode of WoW Leveling Wednesdays with TheKephas. That's me. And I'm going to run a character to level 70 in World of Warcraft Dragonflight. We're going to hang out, talk about WoW stuff, and I'm really excited. So let's get into this. You guys voted on a poll on my YouTube channel to help me pick which class we're going to play, and I'm happy with the decision because Shamans won in the poll, and it was like a third of all the votes. So you guys really want me to play Shaman. I'm A-okay with that, and we have a lot of cool races to pick from. I think we are going to play Horde, and I think we're going to pick High Mountain Tauren. The main reason why I want to pick High Mountain Tauren is because I need to get the heritage armor still. I haven't gotten that yet. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to name him Abote because I have seen that name pop up in my randoms a few times, and I was like, that name seems cool. So let's go ahead and go with that one. So yeah, we're going to be this awesome looking High Mountain Tauren. Big antler boys. And we're just going to go through the customizations here. I feel like, and I might be wrong, somebody let me know in the comments. I feel like, I felt like since the old races got like a lot of updates, that the allied races felt a little bit more underwhelming, but I feel like these guys have gotten some updates as well. I like a lot of their hair options. They look cool. I like this one. Let's go with that one. So I don't know. I know like the Void Elves have, you can actually be like a high elf now, which looks awesome. But it looks like even these guys have gotten a few more options. Though I do feel like there's a lot more with the original Tauren. Like there's a lot of variety there, but it looks like there's still some pretty cool stuff here, and I like the giant antlers. So I'm visually impaired, but I can barely see their eyes. I like the blue eyes though. Sorry if I'm eating my microphone. I'm very nearsighted, and my microphone has to be like right up on the screen, so because of how I sit. So yeah, I like those feathers. I think they look cool. Add in some contrast to the black hair. I like making characters in this game. It's definitely fun. It's not like the most like custom, there aren't like the most options here, but like I feel like these. Ooh, I like the white one. That's cool looking, dude. I feel like there are some more options here. Like this doesn't have as many as like other games. Like some games you can really do a lot of customization. But I definitely like how many options there are, and I like how different you can make your character look. I think it's cool, and I don't know why. I think I just like the art style for a while. So that's kind of the big thing. I want to give him as much going on as possible. I like this, adding those to the back. I don't think that's too much. Yeah, it's just fun to make characters. I have so many alts in this game. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, we'll use that one feather. Let's see what we got here. Oh, I might be old school. I don't like nose rings. I'm an old school guy, I guess. I'm like that parent that you're not getting a nose ring. You're not getting tattoos. Though I do like the tattoos. In particular, I like those. I think they look really cool. And color-wise, let's see. Wait, what's this? This is tail. Oh, the color. I totally skipped. Okay, color. Yeah. These all look really good, but I like the blue one, especially as a shaman, because like it looks like I've got lightning going through my body. I don't know. It's kind of cool. I like the blue one a lot. I wish there was like more tattoo on his back though. Is there one where there's tattoo on his back? Let's see. Not really. And there's like a little bit on his arms, I guess, but I just like this design the best. So, oh well, that's fine. Tail. Gotta flip him around here. Look at your tail. Yeah, I'll stick with that one. I like the bushy one. And then, yeah, we'll put the red tape stuff around his tail too. We got it around our antlers. Check him out, man. I like it. I'm excited. He looks awesome. We have a little bit of a quest here. We're going to get this guy's heritage armor. So there we go. We have our High Mountain Tauren Shaman. We're going to log into the game now. Right into Legion. Right away. Right. It's kind of cool. I wish I could just like go straight to Dalaran and get started, but I don't know if I want to level up through Legion. Honestly, I'm not sure how I want to go about this. I know that I'm going to level up as enhancement because I'm actually glad that the shaman won in the poll, because shaman is probably my favorite class in the game right now. It's definitely in my top three. Warrior is up there. Shaman's really fun. Monk is really fun. There are a lot of good options right now. But I think that like the enhancement shaman specifically, I haven't really played elemental yet, but the enhancement shaman is so much fun. It has one of the best designed talent trees in the game, in my opinion. There are so many good options. But I don't know what I want to level up. It looks like it's not giving me enhancement weapons. I'm using a shield and a weapon, so I'm kind of like I have to find another weapon. I do have my heirlooms though that I can use, so I'm trying to decide. Like, I've been playing classic, and one thing that classic has convinced me is that I like the game a lot better without heirlooms. It's definitely more fun. But at the same time, I have heirlooms, and it's just tempting to use them. But I will at least take the heirloom weapons. But I might end up just taking them because, to be honest, I'm not so much sure how much fun I'm going to find with. Oh wait, I had to switch my. Yeah, we're gonna be enhancement. I'm curious to see how much fun leveling in a post Dragonflight old world is, like pre 60, because I'm not. You can't go to Dragonflight yet. You can't go to the Dragon Isles, so I'm actually kind of curious how much fun I want to have with this because of like where the expansion is. So I guess we could probably pick our talent as well. I'm going to pick Frost Shock. I think it's a good start, and then we're gonna get Storm Strike. I actually kind of like how at first I think we have Primal Strike instead of Storm Strike. Yeah, so I think that's kind of neat. I think it's cool they give you like a starter ability that will change when you pick your spec. I like that. I think that's a cool, like, a way to feel progress as you level. I definitely can say I haven't leveled up an old character, like a character before 60, since Dragonflight. So it'll be kind of neat. But I have leveled up a lot of characters in the Dragonflight pre-patch with the new talent trees, and I can say 100% the talent trees make the game better and make leveling better for sure. So I think that's really cool. But you know what? Why don't we go ahead and let's see. We need to set up our stuff. So I'm going to open up /GSE for Gnome Sequencer. I do use a Gnome Sequencer add-on. This helps me play the game because I'm visually impaired, and it just gives me a powerful macro. We'll keep Lightning Bolt there. I like to clean up my action bars the best I can. So we're going to do that real quick. Oops. And we want to put this here. I have like a place. I'm playing with console port, obviously. I'll have links to my profile in the description. I do apologize if I'm like away from the microphone right now. My microphone is, I'm kind of looking away, trying to look at this down here. We don't need that. We don't need that. Whoa. And we don't need, oh, I forgot that I have a class ability, or I mean a race ability. Let's see what else we have to set up here. So let's go and get all this done. Console Port's an amazing add-on. It lets you set up your action bars with this UI that honestly feels like it belongs in the game. It's nuts. Like how whoever designs this is amazing. Like it's an amazing add-on. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Yeah, I have kind of a convention where I put my buffs. So there we go. And yeah, there's our guy for now. I don't know if I want to use heirlooms or not. I mean, dude, they're kind of tough, aren't they? Like look at the buffs that you get if you have heirlooms. You don't get XP buffs anymore, but you do get more. You consume less rest experience. That kind of works as an XP buff. Increase your out of combat regeneration. That's kind of crazy. Gaining a level triggers burst knowledge, dealing damage. So when you level up, you actually deal damage. So that's where that comes from. It's kind of hard not to take it. I can't resist, you guys. I'm just gonna take it. It's fine. We'll hit level 60 and then we'll play the game where you actually get gear, I guess. It's kind of one of those things, you know. It's like technically you think the gameplay is more fun without it, but once you have it, it's kind of hard not to use it. It's like we gamers are our own worst enemies sometimes. But it's not a big deal. I've leveled up so many characters that it's kind of whatever. So we will benefit a lot from the rested XP, and that gets us into Dragonflight faster, which is where we want to get to. So this is definitely one of those rare times where I actually want to get to the new content as quickly as possible. So that wasn't the case with the last expansion. Let me tell you. So, you know what? I don't like the way the armor looks, though. So let's do some transmogging here. And I'm just going to make him look like a Chad. We're just going to go like, no helm. He doesn't need a helm. He doesn't need these shoulders, that's for sure. Look at him. Doesn't need a cloak, because the cloaks look weird on Tauren anyways. And we don't want to wear a shirt, because shirts are for nerds. And there we go. Check him out. You know, let's change our pants to something more normal-ish, I guess. Let's go with... you can use the dragon, what are those called? The Sprite Darter pants. They look kind of like purple jeans. No, we'll go with these. Those look okay. Those will be fine. All right, we're using our 1 gold on transmogging because that's what's the most important. All right, so I wonder where this takes us. It wants me to go talk to, or go look at the board. I guess depending on what I pick on the board is where we go. But I can also talk to Chromie. There are a couple things I want to do, but I'm just kind of going with the flow, to be honest. Let's see. You know, another thing that's kind of funny is that I can unlock all the flight paths, but it also uncovers all the areas in Old World, and then you don't get the XP from discovering. So I don't know if it's like better to do that or not. But where does it want us to go? Broken Shore, Tanan Jungle, or I can go talk to Chromie. Well, dang. I don't want to go to the Broken Shore, and I sure as heck don't want to go to Tanan Jungle. So I guess we're going to go talk to Chromie. No, thank you. Both of those options sucked. Who wants to go to Tanan Jungle? Not me. Let's actually use our normal mount because it's faster. There we go. Check him out. I forgot I had that. That's the Shaman specific mount from Legion. Oh, Lord. I have so many mounts that I don't even remember what I have. It's kind of crazy. But I guess I did get all the class mounts. Okay, let's talk to Chromie here. And there are a couple things we might as well get done now, out of the way, right now. So, talk to Chromie. And we're going to go first to Legion. So I guess we are going to the Broken Shore. Oh well. But we want to get that Legion Hearthstone. That can be very handy. Shamans have a lot of Hearthstones, or they can. They have like a second Hearthstone as an ability, and then the Volpera as well. Like they have like that cool ability, like one of the coolest racials in the game, I think. Where kind of like they can make a Hearthstone literally wherever they want as long as it's outside. Like that's crazy. More of that, please. That's cool. Sometimes racials like get to be so awesome that you're like, man, I wish that could just be a thing in the game. Like, can we all just like have a camping tent that we can just set up camp somewhere, anywhere in the world, and like hearth back there, for, like whenever? Like that's kind of cool. Either way, we're gonna go to Legion just to unlock the Hearthstone. That's it. I don't know if I don't like leveling up in Legion. It's not my favorite. We're just gonna skip the story. But I know a lot of people like it, so that's cool. I don't know where I want to level up. I will definitely do the... You know what? We may even start with it. We'll maybe start with the starting area in Warlords of Draenor and get that Hearthstone, but also just get a good chunk of XP. I like to do the Warlords of Draenor starting area before I get to... before I get to flying, because in this Warlord starting area you can't fly, so that might be something cool to do. So let's go ahead and do that. But it's kind of funny. I've played so much WoW in the past few months, most of it leveling up characters. You know, just like between all the XP buffs and everything else, like there's just so much to do. Like and then playing Classic. Classic has an XP buff. I will say, though, I wish that they didn't release Wrath Classic and Dragonflight so close together. I wish there was more of like have them spread apart more, because, you know, I want to play both, but there's only so much time in the day, especially for a parent and a husband, to spend in video games. And, you know, even if like I wasn't those things, it's still kind of like... WoW takes up a lot of time, man. It's kind of hard to play multiple versions of WoW at the same time. So it kind of sucks that they released both of these at the same time, because you want to play both, but it just sucks. Like, and then you've got the whole FOMO thing. Like, you don't want to miss Dragonflight in the beginning, but you also don't want to miss out on Wrath Classic because it's not going to be here forever. But for me, I guess like what ultimately it came down to is, I really like Dragonflight. It's new. I've done Wrath already, and while I was genuinely having fun playing Wrath, and I might go back to it if I get bored in Dragonflight and want to play more WoW, I might go back to Wrath, or I might not. I don't know. But and then it's even crazier when you throw Final Fantasy in the mix. You're like, man, I'm missing out on that too. There's just too much, too many live service games. But yeah, I think that really what sells Dragonflight for me, especially like over Wrath, is the amount of single player content there is to do. I think that in Wrath, I feel like I need to get into a guild, find a group to do dungeons with, find a group to raid with if I want to raid, and then I'm solid. But I don't really have the time to do that. And Dragonflight is really good, and it's a lot of fun, for people who also can't group up. I mean, there's a lot of group content that you can do, for sure, but there's also a lot of single player content, and I think that's what makes it work. It's also what makes Final Fantasy work so well, is there's a lot to do for people that just play the game single player. And I think that like what helps Final Fantasy as well is when you do need to do dungeons, I think Final Fantasy has a much more friendly environment, for people that are new or who don't do dungeons a lot, So I think that's one of the things about that. But I think that Dragonflight definitely has upped the game for people that play solo. And I used to not, like I used to think, oh, MMO needs to be all multiplayer. It's an MMO. That's what it's for, blah, blah, blah. Nowadays, I see the value in saying, I like to play the game solo, but I like to play the game around a bunch of other people and interact, on a certain level or not. Like sometimes the benefit of just being in this massive world with other people, you enjoy it without necessarily wanting to be part of a social group or whatever all the time, and there are times like for me where sometimes I want to do group content and I want to find a guild and do stuff, and then there are times when I play where I like the solitude. I like to just kind of do things at my own pace, keep to myself, be in my head, and zone out, So, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think that, it's entirely bad, but I also think that it's good that you have the option to group up and do stuff with people, So, it's just one of those things. It's funny just at different phases, in my life, like where I used to be very social in this game, and now I'm not as social as much, for whatever reason. And that can change. You never know. But I will say this, and I know it's like people are hesitant to say things like this. I think that for me, Dragonflight is the most fun I have ever had with World of Warcraft. Ever. Personally. Like especially on a solo player basis. Like I think that like there are times in the past that were like it's really hard to compete with my time raiding with my old buddies in ICC and Ulduar back in Wrath. That was like the golden era of WoW for me. That was like peak World of Warcraft. But to be fair, a lot of that was carried by the fact that I had friends that I played with, and we hung out and did dungeons every day, and did raids every day, or not every day, but raided every week, and it was like this thing. It was like a big part of my life at that time. Now I'm playing Dragonflight, and I am having as much fun as I've ever had, if not more, as a solo player. The game itself is carrying itself for me. And that's because there's a lot of stuff for me to do that I am enjoying doing. And even to the point where traveling on a dragon is fun. There's a lot of progression in professions to do. There's a lot of incentive to level up alts, and it's all very enjoyable. And I like the zones, and I like the content that there is to do. And I can say that regardless of where the game goes from here, this month in WoW has been one of the best, if not the best months I've ever had with the game. And I cannot believe I'm saying that coming off of Shadowlands, where I literally quit the game. And I was like thinking I was done. I never really thought that I would be like, I would never play the game again, but I thought that my time in WoW was kind of at an end. I thought the game had peaked long ago, and that I'll be honest, I thought that the development team was creatively bankrupt, out of touch, and were so up their own like rear ends that they were never gonna change. I genuinely, that's how I felt, and I think now that I was wrong about that, and it looks like at least initially they've done a good job at doing a lot more, both in narrative and in gameplay. I feel like they've done a lot to improve things, and I think that it's hard to say. It's weird looking at what they've done with Diablo and what they've done with Overwatch and what they've done in the past with WoW and think this way, but it feels like they maybe understand that they need to do better about making their players happy, and they haven't done a good job, and they understand. I hope that's the case. I'm always going to be a little bit cautious about how much faith I put in them, because they have done a lot to damage that trust. But all I can really do is go by what the game is giving me in that time, and if it's good, then it's good. If it's not good, then it's not good, and I won't play it. It's as simple as that. And that's kind of the case with all games these days. Sometimes you'll have a game that is really great, and then down the road it becomes worse. And then there are redemption stories. Take a look at Cyberpunk, No Man's Sky, Final Fantasy XIV. Games that start off really bad and get better. And so those things can happen as well. And I am always going to root, if WoW is in a bad spot, I'm always going to hope that there will be a redemption story down the road for it, because WoW is one of my favorite games, and I feel like WoW has made a comeback. And Shadowlands was so bad and they did so much damage that it may take some time. Dragonflight may not be the most commercially successful expansion, and it's going to be because of how bad it's been. They between BFA and then Shadowlands, it definitely did some damage that time will tell if it's even going to be repairable. But it definitely, for me, just it helps to be a content creator and have opportunities to do content. That's where you're always looking at it. It's a source of that for me. So I'm always kind of like watching, but also just being a fan, and just always just genuinely liking the game. And even if I have been critical of it in the past, I'm still hoping that changes. It's not like I hate it and I hope it dies. I've never been a hate watcher, kind of thing, where, I took a break there for a while. I didn't follow anything. I think that I quit in early Shadowlands, and I actually remember the day before my son was born was the day that the I Will Never Serve trailer came out, or the cinematic came out for that raid, where Sylvanas, they try to turn her babyface essentially, they try to turn her good, and she's like, I will never serve, and it was so cringe. And I remember watching it just thinking, what? They really did try to do that, and then I didn't touch the game again. I didn't touch it. And then I watched the ending cinematic like half a year later, and I was like, wow, it got worse. How? Kind of thing. And sure enough, like that's just what happened. And I was like, it sucks. I don't want it to be that way, but that's what happened. And I don't even know if that's what the intention was. I definitely feel like there were maybe some behind the scenes stuff with Shadowlands that kind of like with Warlords where they had to cut stuff and maybe things would have made more sense if they hadn't. But regardless, I just feel like the direction of the story was not great. The jailer was not a great villain. That he looked kind of dumb. You kind of just remember Nipple Squidward. Handsome Nipple Squidward is how I will always remember the jailer. Just not a great character at all. But here we are now, and Dragonflight has a lot better going for it. I'm interested to see where the story goes, and there's a little bit of there's some things like I don't like. I don't know, like I don't like the Dracthyr that much. I don't know I like the Evoker as a class. I think the Dracthyr look a little weird. Especially when I see the Dracnoids, and I'm like, why can't I play as that? That thing looks cool, But, that's just me. There are a lot of people that like the Dracthyr. I think that's totally fine. And stuff like that, and I think there are people that get concerned about the more soft storytelling, I guess, feelings and stuff like that. I don't necessarily think that stuff's bad. I think there's room for it as long as you don't forget that WoW is meant to be this war game. It's called World of Warcraft. There needs to be badass characters with epic fights and battle and all that kind of stuff. That has to always be part of the game. It doesn't always have to be alliance versus horde. It doesn't always have to be player versus player. But you have to always remember to keep a little bit of that edge of battle and strength, and you can be more, you can have more heartfelt stories and feel good moments without turning the game into a hug box. You know what I mean? And I don't think that Dragonflight, just like I didn't think with Miss, I don't think it goes too far. I think it's fine. Like the Caligos stuff and Azure Span, I like it. I think it's cool. I think that he has these moments, and it's not super difficult storytelling. It's not hard to. It's pretty simple. It's stuff that you've probably heard before, but it's nice, and it's nice to see the character go through some growth through that zone, and then have a pretty badass moment by the end of it. You know what I mean? I think that's pretty cool, and I think that you can have both, I guess badass moments, edgy moments with Illidan, with the whole Zera thing. I am my scars. I think you can still do that. You can still have characters like Broxigar almost completely soloing, well, not even really soloing, but just taking on a bunch of Legion characters or demons, you can have all that stuff. You can have those Manaroth, gritty fights still, and have very masculine, gritty male strong characters, and strong female characters as well, but then also have characters go through more emotional, psychological growth. I think that's fine. I mean, there are I think that some of the best stories, look at Rocky. Rocky's he's a buff boxer, fighting strong, but the whole movie's about his emotional story. You know what I mean? And his growth and his love for his wife and his self-respect and finding value in his life and all that. And so you can have good storytelling and have emotional themes and still be awesome and badass and not lose an ounce of, that type of thing that people like. You know what I mean? So I definitely think that you can harness both, and I think the game's best when it does. I think it makes it the most interesting when you do that, because we're human and we have the version of ourselves that we want to be, and we have the version of ourselves that we are, and it's good to appeal to both. I mean, I think a lot of people, it's not really changed. Like, people these days, while, you know, maybe like the old Superman style characters are boring nowadays, which I actually kind of think it's been so long that maybe people kind of miss them. Just like those stoic, you know, steadfast, unwavering good guys that just take on every challenge and fight, you know, tooth and nail. I think people still like to see some of that. But I also think that, like, sometimes you can have a character, you know, be more deep than that, you know. So, but still hold on to the same feeling, I guess, if that makes sense, you know. So I think that's one of the good things to see about Metzen coming back, is I think that, like, bringing Chris Metzen back hopefully will help the game remember what it is, and, you know, they can expand on that and they can add to that, you know, and still maintain that, because I think that's what makes WoW great, you know what I mean? So you know, so like I definitely think that, like, with Dragonflight, with the content, with the story, with everything that they're doing, at least for now, we'll see where it goes. But it's nice to see. It's nice to be positive. It's nice to feel good. It's nice to be like, I actually like World of Warcraft again. You know, after so long. I mean, it's been pretty. Like, even Legion had its issues. You know, like, Legion was awesome, but it had some issues. This is the first time where, like, there's nothing. There's no looming thing. There's not, like, some system. There's not, like, some, what was it Bellular said? There's not a dick in the salad. You know? You know, there's not like that there's nothing pissing in your Cheerios, you know? It's all great. If you like the content, then you're good. There's nothing over your head or something like waiting for you that's like, oh, this is going to make the game suck. This would be so awesome if it wasn't for this one thing. You know, and there might be people that don't like dragon riding. There might be people that don't like the talent trees. I mean, there's going to be people that don't like things. It's what it is. There are people that think the game's too complicated now, even though it's literally the same game and all the extra content is optional. You don't have to do a single bit of it. There are still people that are like, oh, it's too much, which, you know, it is a lot. I actually kind of like that feeling, though. I like the feeling of being overwhelmed with trying to figure out what to do. I like not knowing what to do, because that keeps it mysterious and interesting and makes me feel like I'm not even close to finishing it, and that gives me drive to want to keep playing it. You know, there are people that see things like that and they don't want to. I don't want to say, like, put forth the effort, but, like, I'll give you an example. You know, I have a nephew that is getting into Pokemon. You know, and there are moments where he's like, I don't understand this. This is a lot. You know, he's like 11 years old. You know, he's never played anything more complicated than, like, Fortnite. You know what I mean? And it's a crossroads. It's like, are you willing? Because you seem like you like this. Are you willing to learn about all the types and the type advantages, and learn all the Pokemon, and want to catch them all and play the game and do something that's a little bit more. It's not even that deep compared to a lot of games because it's meant for kids, but it's more deep than Fortnite. Are you willing to go deeper than that and see if you actually do like that? And I think that it's one of those things where it's like, I think that if you're willing to go deeper, then you might, you know, for him, if he's willing to learn and put forth the effort, then he's going to find something that I think he's going to enjoy. If he's not, then he misses out. And that's unfortunate, because I think that that's like one of the worst ways to miss out on something is because you're not willing to put forth effort. You know, even in video games, I think that sucks. And I think that's the case for Dragonflight. For some people, it's like, if you're not willing to treat this as a game and learn the rules and learn what you're supposed to do, and you just want it to be handed to you, well, that's I think that type of mentality for a lot of people is what drives some people away. If you design games around that mentality, like, hey, just play, here you go, here's all the stuff, have fun. I think that, like, for me, that's why I don't play games like Fortnite. That's why I don't play games like Overwatch anymore. A lot of those shooters and those types of games they're skill-based, and that's cool, and there's definitely a reason to play them, but I like games that have more depth. I like games that are more complex, that are more progression-based. I tend to be more of a progression-based type player, because I think it's more a more long-term enjoyable game experience. And certainly if you can have a game that does a little bit of both, that's also great. But yeah, it's like take Mario for example. Mario is kind of a skill-based game. I love Mario. But then you have some Mario games that have a lot of collecting different things, and I guess that's still kind of skill based, but it's fun to go through that and figure out everything. So Zelda has a little bit of skill to it, while also being a progression based game, because there's a lot of power increase that you can find. But anyway, I definitely think that for me, I like games that have a little bit more depth. And if I'm into the game and it has depth and I want to learn it, then those are always the most exciting times for me. When something comes out and you figure it out all right away, it almost kind of takes away from that experience. At least for me, it does. So yeah, it's nice. It reminds me of when I played WoW for the first time. When I first got into WoW, I remember wow, I've never played a game like this before, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I kind of like it. There are so many classes to play that I've never, I see people playing these classes that I've never played before, and there's all this content out there that I've hear people talking about, but I've never been to before, and there's all this stuff to do that I don't even know what people are talking about, but and for me that's exciting. When I know everything and everything's just really straightforward, it takes away. It's actually one of the reasons why I don't like Exile's Reach. But I know a lot of people like it, so I know that there are going to be people that disagree, and that's fine. But I like learning on my own. I don't like tutorials for the most part. Well, I shouldn't say that. Tutorials aren't bad. I don't like things that clearly are tutorials and are like these long hand-holding segments in a game, usually at the beginning, that last forever, that I have to get through. And then I just here's the game, here's everything that you need to know, now go do all this stuff. I like to kind of learn a little bit, and I definitely think there needs to be some guidance. But there's a lot of other things about Exile's Reach that I don't like. I think Exile's Reach is well designed for what it is, but I think that starting everybody off at the same place on the same island has a lot less impact than starting everybody off in different places based on where they are, what race they play. I think that has a much bigger impact. But that's kind of one of those things where, you're talking about old world leveling design, and there's definitely a lot about old world leveling design that's tough. That it doesn't feel like when you play classic, it feels great. Honestly, playing leveling through retail, it doesn't feel that great. I think it feels great for people that have already done it. But for a new player, I actually don't think that Chromie Time is the answer. I don't think that Exile's Reach is the answer. Certainly don't think that taking people through BFA is great. I think they need to rethink how they do the starting experience entirely, and maybe build something up from the ground up and go from there. Wow, people are just pulling everything, aren't they? Jeez, it's like running a dungeon. So it's one of those things where, but I kind of understand the challenge that they might have to deal with. I mean, it's not easy to do that, and WoW's biggest problem is there are so many expansions and they're all kind of disjointed and disconnected, and there's content in each one of them that once the new expansion comes out, then the old content is irrelevant, and that's kind of one of the problems. But you don't want to necessarily get rid of all that content, but it's definitely getting to the point where it's so messy that you almost think the only way you're ever going to fix it is by starting all over again. Almost like a cataclysm again, resetting everything and starting all over. But then again, you lose a lot of old content when you do that, and that's one of the things that people like about classic. So, it's just one of those things where it's it's a rock and a hard place. How do you make it better? And I don't have an answer for it. So, yeah, but I definitely think that to get new players into World of Warcraft, there definitely has to be something new. I think they're going to have to redo the game in a way to get new people in. Again, I think that people look at Chromie Time and and all that stuff, and then they look at it as from the perspective of a person that's already played the game, already done all the content. It's great, but for anybody new, it might be weird, confusing, and you got to think like people have to get into the game somehow. What got you into the game when you started playing? You know what I mean? Like what was it about the game that got you in? I think for a lot of people, like especially people that have been around since Classic, it's it wasn't like I can tell you this right now, nobody ever gets into World of Warcraft because of listening to people talk about min-maxing and meta and optimization and this cool dungeon or this cool raid. What appeals to a lot of people when it comes to these types of games is, hey, you're in this massive open world that feels huge, and there's all this cool stuff going on, and there's this story, and there's all these other people playing it, and there's all this stuff to do, and it's cool. So if you take that away, then what is it that draws people into the game? You know what I mean? So like I think that again like with Dragonflight, there's a lot of cool stuff there. But getting new people in, I don't know. I don't know how that works without honestly starting over. I don't know, but that's just my perspective on the issue. So it's one of those things where I think that like a good start is definitely like bringing back some of your old players and going from there. But if you're wanting to, like, if you want WoW to continue and you want WoW to grow, there might have to be some rethinking. Click on the. I'm trying to use the interact button. There we go. There might have to be some rethinking into how it's done. But I don't know. Anybody listening to this new? Did you get into WoW like recently? And if you did, what drew you to the game and what do you like about it? And I'm always open to hear that kind of stuff because like those perspectives are great to hear, So, but if you do get in, I think that I would tell anybody like if you can get into the game, if you've never played WoW before, now is probably the best time in years to get in because, it's fun. There's a lot of fun stuff to do if you can get past the leveling, especially. There's a lot of. It's so weird saying that. It's so weird for me to say that because I felt the exact opposite about the game not long ago. Because I did not like. I mean, like, I avoided Shadowlands even when I was leveling up all those characters like a couple months ago. I was avoiding Shadowlands at all costs because I hated Shadowlands so much. And the end game sucked, but the leveling for me was still enjoyable. So it's. I don't know, man. It's just weird. But nowadays, like I think that if I really want to have a really in-depth, fun, enjoyable leveling experience, I'll go back to Classic. And having leveled up a character through Classic and Wrath, I really liked it. I think that the Joyous Journeys buff makes the pacing better. Because like without it, there are dry spots. With Joyous Journeys, there are none. You just kind of keep going. You're never at a weird spot where you're like, I need to grind for a while, or, geez, I don't know where to go. Without Joyous Journeys, I feel like I hit those spots a lot. With Joyous Journeys, I feel like I never did. And I think that, like, Wrath pacing is fine. Like, I like the longer term leveling. Because, like, it's like in retail, we'll fly through zones. You know what I mean? Like, and it's great when you're trying to get to the new content. That's good. But objectively, as a leveling experience, flying through content, you don't feel connected to anything. You're just flying through it as quickly as possible. But in Classic, when you spend some time in a zone and you're doing it's slower, sometimes it maybe not be as appealing, especially when you're leveling alts. You've done it once, cool. I don't want to do that again. It was a lot of work. But initially that experience for people that are into like long-term progression and gameplay, that old experience is way better because you feel more connected. I leveled up my paladin in Wrath. I'm leveling Horde. I leveled up my paladin through the Blood Elf starting zone, and I liked it. What are you doing? Quit running away. Anyway, maybe they were trying to get up the thing. But, oh no, wait, no, this time I am leveling Alliance. Never mind. I leveled up Horde back in the day, so I leveled up Alliance on Wrath. I leveled up my Alliance pally through the Draenei starting area. And I didn't even make a Draenei. I just wanted to experience the Draenei starting area, partially because it wasn't crowded. And I enjoyed it. I liked Azure Mist Isle and Blood Mist Isle, and I never leveled through those before. And I felt connected there because I spent some time there. I didn't just fly through it in like half an hour. I spent a week there. Not really a week, maybe a couple days. Spent a couple days there, and I really enjoyed it. So that made me feel more connected to it. And now, when I think back to leveling up in Wrath Classic, I think of Blood Mist Isle. And I remember really enjoying, like, wow, I never leveled through this zone. It's pretty fun. There were a lot of cool quests, and just like exploring the map was really enjoyable. So, yeah, it's just kind of funny, like just the different. It's one of those things where there are a lot of approaches to making a game, and it can be good. And Dragonflight feels nothing like Classic at all, except for just having so much to do and not knowing what to do. But I enjoy it. It's a more modern take, and I like it. But I still like Classic. It's like they're two different ways to approach an MMO, and I like both of them. I think right now I like Dragonflight more, but it's also new. I've done Classic already. But there are times where I go back to Classic, and I'm like, man, I like this leveling experience. Like, I like it a lot. I don't like the Classic endgame as much. And that has a lot to do with just the atmosphere and how people are with dungeons in that game, and just a lot of stuff that can be talked about. Maybe in the future we will. But I do like the dungeons, the leveling, sorry. And I like the solo, slow burn, long journey, relaxing leveling experience that takes a much longer time, than retail does. So I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. It's just funny how like I remember it wasn't that long ago. I've been playing Final Fantasy 14, and that game does stuff different than both Classic and Dragonflight does, and I like that game too. But I remember talking about like comparing Final Fantasy 14 to WoW and things that Final Fantasy does that I like that I wish WoW would do. At the time of talking about that, making that video, we were still in Shadowlands, and Dragon Riding hadn't come out yet, and so like Shadowlands had a problem where you had to ride a flight path a lot, and you just spent so much time just waiting to get to places. Like you had to ride the flight path just to get somewhere, and it sucked, like because you were doing it so much, and it made me hate flight paths. Like, oh my god, this is wasting my time. I just want to play the game, And in Final Fantasy, you don't have flight paths. Like you essentially you teleport everywhere. There are these crystals that let you, like this network of crystals where you can teleport anywhere in the world and then just kind of quickly get to where you want to go, like in no time. And I like that. And I'm like, I think traveling is just outdated. But then Dragon Riding comes out. It's like, no, traveling is not outdated, but but what you do is you make traveling fun. You play a game like Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man on the PlayStation, which I think it's out on PC now. Or Miles Morales, and they did that in that game. They made traveling fun. It's enjoyable. Even in like GTA, traveling is kind of fun. Riding around in the car all over the city, it's an enjoyable experience, especially when you're trying not to get arrested. So it can be good. And Dragonflight did that. Now traveling in Dragonflight is fun, so much so that like traveling in Old World isn't as fun, because you don't have Dragon Riding. So it's one of those things where it's like now you want to keep Dragon Riding because some people may not like it, but for the most part it's fun, So it just goes to show you that there's a lot of I don't always have the answers. I learn and then I find I'm glad that Blizzard found something that hey, here's an answer to this problem, and it's better than what you thought. Dragon Riding is better than no traveling. It's better than just teleporting to places. So it's just funny just how much gameplay, and how much game design can just be different and still be fun and be completely different from what you like, but you still like it. It's just really cool. But we've gotten through this. We're level 14. I'm going to wrap it up here. We are going to continue our journey and Warlords of Draenor, at least for a little bit, to get our garrison and get our Hearthstone, and then we'll see where we go from there. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and watching me play WoW and talk, feel free to comment on anything we talked about in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking of Dragonflight, if you're enjoying it as much as I am, and if you have topics that you want to hear me talk about in these videos, I'm always open. So feel free to offer suggestions in the description below, or in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button. And feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. And if you'd like to see more videos, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook, and if you'd like, you can support my work on Patreon. Links to all that stuff can be found in the description below. This is TheKephas. Until next time.